Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the war between Russia and Ukraine. And today we're starting off specifically near Bakhmut, and what I want to do is again go over a time lapse starting essentially 1 month ago, where you, the viewer, can see the progress of the current engagements near Bakhmut. And then we're going to talk about those engagements. We're going to talk about what the mainstream media is saying, especially here in the West. And then we're going to point to what is actually happening on the ground, because it's kind of interesting when you talk about what is actually happening versus what is being reported. So first, let's fast forward, and you the viewer can kind of see. Obviously, the area in the orange is controlled by Russian forces. The area in gray is disputed, where current combat is taking place. Now, please understand that this map is provided by a Ukrainian support group. So, in all probability, it could be on, it could be off. Difficult to say, but nonetheless, this is the map we are using. So again, we're going to start from February 10th and then fast forward to present day, so you can see exactly what is happening on the ground. Obviously, this is Bakhmut about a month ago, and again, we're going to fast forward. Here we go. So again, you can see this systematic approach in terms of what the Russians are trying to do. Now, more importantly, as we listen to reports of the conflict, if you go on NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox News, CNN, they report about these waves of Russian soldiers conducting human wave assaults against Ukrainian forces, taking horrendous amounts of casualties in these human wave assaults, while the Ukrainians are sitting in their fortified positions, mowing down Russian forces. Now, has that happened? Has Ukrainian elements ambushed and engaged and destroyed Russian forces advancing? Yes, they have. But the principal method for a Russian attack is not human wave assaults. It's really unrealistic. What we're seeing right now on the ground are infantry engagements, and those infantry engagements with other technologies are continuing to evolve. We are seeing large amounts of snipers taking place in this war on both sides. Some incredibly skilled long-range sniper engagements, not just in Bakhmut, but in other areas as well, such as further south down here towards Volodar. A number of mile-plus engagements between opposing sniper groups taking place. And given the amount of sniper systems that the Ukrainians are using, and the Ukrainians are using some incredibly skilled, very advanced both sniper systems and very well-trained snipers in Bakhmut. You have a lot of rubbleized buildings, a lot of large multi-story apartment buildings that are now being used as defensive redoubts for the sniper teams. So what are we seeing on the Russian side? How are the Russians adapting to the Ukrainian use of these sniper teams? Well, obviously the Russians are using their own counter-sniper groups as well. But more importantly, we're starting to see the deployment of ground combat unmanned vehicles, ground combat robots. These are tracked and wheeled vehicles, not containing a person inside the vehicle. There is a man in the loop controlling the vehicle, but we are starting to see the Russians deploy these systems. And we're also starting to hear about the deployment of non man-in-the-loop systems as well that have the ability to detect the acoustic signature of a rifle shot, that robot then has the ability to detect where that shot came from and then engage that target. And we know now the Russians are working on those systems and actively deploying those systems. So again, this is a multi-domain war. It is incredibly brutal. We are seeing drones overhead. We are seeing combat drones. We are seeing loitering munitions. We are seeing drones dropping missiles and dropping bombs and grenades. We are seeing fighting on the ground taking place with some, again, very advanced sniper systems and sniper units taking place in this ongoing fight, which has made the war very sudden and very bloody and not a nice place to be. It is essentially hell on earth for both sides. Then you're seeing the deployment of multiple launch rocket systems, artillery, tanks, armored fighting vehicles. Again, you are seeing the best of both sides have to offer, or really the worst of both sides in terms of the capabilities that are being deployed, especially in Bakhmut and other areas as well. But as you saw from the map, as we went back 30 days and sped it up, you can see the Russians are slowly advancing, slowly enveloping the areas near Bakhmut. And eventually, there will be a after-action review, and we will find out exactly what happened inside of Bakhmut. But I can tell you these new technologies that are now being used, everything from some of the most advanced sniper systems on Earth being used by both the Ukrainians and the Russians, are having an impact on this war. It's creating an environment where small infantry groups, platoons, companies find it incredibly difficult to maneuver because, again, these sniper systems that are computer-aided with laser rangefinders, and again, in all probability, well, not all probability, many of these, especially the Ukrainian units, have been trained by very experienced NATO operators that have trained them. And then compounding that, these Ukrainian forces have seen combat since 2014 in some cases. And then again, the same with the Russian forces as well. The Russians have some incredibly capable sniper teams, sniper groups, sniper systems that they are using in this ongoing fight. If you go down to Volodar, it's very interesting to see that conflict as well, because you even have, within the context of Volodar, you have this area to the southwest and southeast that is controlled by Russian forces, and then the area near Volodar is under the control of Ukrainian forces. And Volodar is essentially just a built-up area, and this map isn't the best to show you that area. Unfortunately, I have to go to the Earth map to show a clearer picture. But anyway, Volodar is made up of, again, 3 to 6, 7, 8, 9-story apartment dwellings, many of which have been rubbleized and turned into defensive redoubts. And you have these large open fields separating Volodar from these other built-up areas. And this is kind of where we are seeing these engagement ranges. So that range right there is 2.4 kilometers from the outskirts of Volodar to this other built-up area, and they're taking sniper shots at each other at those ranges. And it's interesting to see how this war is evolving. And then again, the Russians are starting to deploy their own ground combat robots in lieu of using actual infantry forces in this ongoing conflict. It's not being talked about. It's not being shown a lot on video footage of these systems being used because they're very much classified. There are systems being used by the Russians, these ground combat unmanned vehicles that are being used that we're not even privy to even see that have been deployed, but they're being used. And it's interesting as this battle continues to evolve and unfold, and as technology continues to advance, and it's very much being used in this conflict. It is not mass human wave attacks of Russian soldiers dying in mass as they attempt to attack Volodar from these other settlements. That's not what's happening. It is a technological war that we are seeing, and it is an evolving technological conflict that is taking place. So don't listen to the mainstream media in which they say the Russians are launching zombieistic human wave attacks against Ukrainian formations. It's not happening. It's not true. Anyway, we'll continue to report. We will continue to monitor. Thank you for joining us today. More to come very, very soon. Have a good day.